I've never spoken of this, and still as I start to talk about this, I feel like shame, right?
I get it.
You know, it's hard for me to say, but I had an eating disorder, for sure. I've never said that out loud. And so I thought if I joined a television show then I would be the most popular, right? That's what I thought. So I was like, this is going to be the best. I'm going to become famous. Are you kidding me? That's like the most exciting thing. I'm going to be famous. I thought it was going to cure lots of stuff, all the problems they had. But actually, as you said, it heightened everything. People get divorced, firstly, it's a really brave thing, because a lot of people don't, and they stay very unhappy. But actually, you kind of get one life, and you got to live it to the max.
Come on then, should we do it? Jamie Laing, how have you not been on Happy Place before?
Don't know. I'm excited. I'm nervous. You've got a big book in front of you.
Yeah, I'm a professional. I do like notes.
So there's notes in that book?
There's notes on every person I've interviewed, but I've got like 10, 15 of these at home.
No, you don't.
So I look back on them one day and go, oh, look at all these cool people that I've interviewed.
Okay, but just tell me just quickly, why do you write? Because there are like such things as like, there's the modern day have like tablets, right? So someone.
No, I don't like that.
You don't like that?
No, pen and paper, because also the process of writing it ingrains it into my mind. So I remember the flow of it. Not that I'm going to stick to that, but my brain will go, oh, remember you wrote this thing, and it will jump to that. That's how I work.
That's how you process it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, tell me, who's been your best guest ever?
Can I just remind you that I'm interviewing you today?
I know, but I just really want to know. I really want to know.
Do you know what? I've had lots of brilliant people. I'd say Dawn French, always a fave.
Come on.
Patrick Gagney, who's a sociopath, who was fascinating.
That's amazing.
To chat to. Hillary Clinton, shit myself, never been so scared.
Yeah.
Bjorn
the president's
Lefkow,
coming.
Lindblad, who's this amazing monk. I mean, just so many great people.
Okay, I've asked you this, but who would you love to interview? Let's put it out there so then they may watch this.
Who have we not had on that's on my... Reese Witherspoon. And I would like her on her own, and I want to talk like business chat with her.
Hello,
like,
sunshine.
how have you done it? How have you done it? She's so incredible. So I would love her.
Could you? You should message her.
What? DM Reese Witherspoon?
You should DM. Do you not DM people?
I mean, here and there, but not Reese Witherspoon. It would be lost, surely, in
I don't think
millions
it would.
of...
I think if Fearne Cotton...
She doesn't know who I am.
She will do.
No.
Yes.
Jamie, don't be insane.
I promise you, she'll know exactly who you are.
No, she will not.
Reese Witherspoon will.
Of course she won't.
She will.
I'm just a random human in London. No, I mean, I'll do it as an experiment to see if she DMs back. How about that?
I think you should do that. So you don't DM your guests? You don't?
No.
Yeah, you don't do that? That's what I do.
I mean, I did at the start. I text Dawn French and went, will you come on the podcast? And she said, what's a podcast?
You like
and then
writing.
I went to her house. But then I kind of stopped doing that after about 3 series, and now I'm much more professional about it.
I DM people.
Like who? Who have you DM'd?
Oh my God. Like so many different people. And then what happens is that to get them on my podcast, I DM them. And lots of times they don't reply because they have better things to do, right? And then I end up like meeting them. and they know I've DM'd them, and I know I've DM'd them, and I still act like nonchalant. I'm like, hey, hey, how are you? I love your stuff, man. And they're just like, this is this freak. There's one singer in particular who I've really been trying to get on for a long time. Oh, I don't know. I'm not going to say it because honestly, I think she has like in her head put like a restraining order. Like
Rita Ora.
No, it's not Rita Ora. But I've been trying to get her on. She's quite a young up and coming singer. She's amazing.
Lola Young.
No, but I did try and get her as well. And anyway,
just a serial DM.
Yeah, serial.
Slipping into DMs left, right, and centre.
Constantly. And she didn't reply, and I did it quite a few times. She didn't reply. And then she was meant to come on the Radio 1 show to like do like a promotion, and then she decided not to do that because I think it was being too awkward for her. So she went on a different show on Radio 1. So I might stop DMing people.
This might be a sign. Now we've processed it in this kind of deep therapy
I'm not
session.
going to do it.
I think maybe...
I'm just going to stop doing it. I don't think it's a good thing to DM people. They don't really want to see that. And in my head, I'm thinking, well, they'll reply.
Yeah.
Of course they'll reply.
They all know who I am. Let's go.
They freaking know who I am.
Send them a pack of candy kittens. We're done.
Hey, you want some sweets? Come on.
I mean, I didn't even text you to ask you on here. This was done in a professional capacity.
Oh, yeah.
My people talking to your people, etc. But mainly because you've got a book out.
Oh, straight in.
Straight in. You're going to be like psychoanalyzing my interviewing. But I texted you last week because I was reading your book at home. And so much of it, well, first of all, so much of it is so helpful. And I'll get to those parts in a moment. But also, I learned a hell of a lot about you. And, you know, we hang out, I know you, but there was stuff that I really didn't know about you. And again, we'll cover as much of it as we can.
And you can ask me anything.
I know, you're very, very open, as am I. So this can be like a two-way chat.
Okay, I love that.
Because we've got a lot in common, actually, in ways that you may know, you may not know. But this is a really interesting time in your life because you are about to become a dad for the first time. And you've written this book for your future child/children to help them through life and to guide them. How are you feeling about embarking on the fatherhood journey?
Like, I'm so excited, but really nervous. Because it's like a scary thing. Like fatherhood is like a really scary thing. Like parenthood in general is just a really scary thing. And for so long, I didn't know if I wanted to become a parent. I didn't know if I wanted to be a dad. I kind of liked waking up in the morning and just thinking about going to the gym or walking to work or like whatever.
Yeah,
That's gone.
That's gone.
Totally gone. Like that. Like in 1 second, right?
In a day.
Gone. Totally gone. And so I was like really excited about those. Like that's what my life was. So I quite liked it. And then Sophie is very maternal. She always wanted kids. So I knew this conversation was going to come up at some point with her. And when it started, I was like nervous about it because just lots of reasons. I was just nervous about all the things that people think. And to the point where I thought at one point I was going to say to her, look, I don't know if I want to go down this road because there are so many variables.
Yeah.
What happens if I'm not a good dad? What happens if my baby is not okay? What happens if something happens to them that I can't control? What happens if Sophie and I divorce? What happens if we have a problem? I fall. All these variables I was so worried about. So in my head, I go, well, instead of having a problem thinking about all those things, I don't have to do it. And in my head, I was going, okay, to have a kid, to become a parent, I have so many notes. To not be a parent, I have no notes. I can just continue. And I've said this before, but I had a conversation with, firstly, I sat next to someone at a dinner party and they said this amazing thing to me. I said, do you have kids? And she said, yes. I said, do you love it? Like you do in conversations at dinner. And she said, no, I don't. And I went, huh? She went, but I find it really hard. Impossibly hard. I'm a single mum. I find it really hard, but I love my baby more than anything. And for me, I wanted to experience every corner of the earth. And in order to do that, I feel like I have to have kids. And that kind of struck a chord with me. And that may be true to some people, may not be true to some people. But
also, hats off, because I love that she had that honest answer, because I think people are very nervous to say, I find parenting incredibly difficult, or actually a lot of it is unenjoyable or mundane. And all these things can be true alongside the fact that you love your kid more than anything. You would do anything for your kid.
Totally.
But people are waiting for some horrible feedback from that honesty of like, well, you're lucky to have kids, whatever. Yeah, like two things can be true. I'm really lucky to have kids, but it's fucking hard, you know? And I love that she was so honest.
She was really honest. And that was kind of an amazing moment. And then, again, I've said this, but I spoke to my dad and I had a big conversation with him. And my dad and I have become really close over especially over the recent years. He's just the best. And I said to him, you know, Dad, what do you think about having kids? And he paused and he said, well, if I hadn't had kids, I wouldn't be having this conversation. And I kind of thought, okay, when I get to 90 years old, right, hopefully, and I'm in my rocking chair and maybe...
I'm in a rocking chair.
I'm in a rocking chair on
Such
a porch.
cliche.
Yeah, I'm in a rocking chair, obviously. I'm in a rocking chair. Or an ice bath. And Sophie's there and we're like hanging out or whatever. I kind of want to look... You don't want to look back at life and think, I wish I'd done that.
No.
You don't. And I remember I heard a podcast with Stephen Fry and he was asked, is there anything he regrets in life? And he said, well, we had a conversation about having kids once and we didn't do it. And sometimes I think, wouldn't it be nice to have done that? And so part of me doesn't want to go to the end of my life and go, kind of maybe would have been nice to do that. I don't know if I would regret it or not, but I kind of just want to I want to ride that roller coaster as much as I can.
Yeah. And, you know, I think it's really sensible that you're approaching it with such caution, because many people don't. I don't think I did. I think I just dived into it. I mean, I find parenting, it's the most beautiful, exceptional experience, and it is so hard. It's so hard. There's no getting around it. There's no parent out there that could sit there and honestly say, parenting is so easy, piece of cake. Like, just breeze through every day.
Yeah.
Because they're kids, and obviously you're dealing with different emotional issues going on or practical issues going on, or, you know, certainly when they're little, it's just an onslaught of practical, quite mundane things that you're in a cycle of. And that doesn't last forever. Everything's a phase, but it's incredibly hard, but so fulfilling and beautiful, and it's so hard to put to words what it's kind of everything. But I think roller coaster is right. It's
but you also you're just feeling up and down. But you also you're a bit like, we overthink things, right? Occasionally.
Oh my God.
So how do you stop overthinking about your kids?
I don't. I really, really don't. And I think, you know, my son is turning 13 in the new year. So that's this, you know, new phase of, you know, him being a little independent guy. He's going to want to go out on his own. And I've got to start letting go a bit. And even now he's like at the school gates, don't talk to me, don't kiss me, just don't hug me, just walk away. And I'm like, okay, bye, have a great day. You know, we're at that point. Whereas my daughter is still hugging me and loving me.
Oh my God.
But it's that pushing, you know, pushback. We all did it to our parents.
Yeah.
And this is what I text you about. I loved that you know, I do worry about my kids like every parent does, and especially they've had a lot of change this year. And you talk about your parents getting a divorce and how that impacted you as a kid, and how that might be informing some of your worrying and your anxiety around parenthood. But like you say, you've now got this amazing relationship with your dad, and you didn't back then.
No, I didn't back then, and it because my parents got divorced when I was like 8 years old, and I have two older sisters, Tash and Gems. They're amazing, right? And they already came from my dad's first marriage, and so I kind of was aware of like this thing which was divorce.
Yeah,
I was aware of it, right? And as a kid, that was like quite a scary thing, because you just want your parents to be together the whole time. And so my big fear in life was the fact that my parents were going to get divorced. I always used to say, you're going to get divorced? Are you going to get divorced? And I don't know why that was funny, but I remember saying that the whole time. And so when my parents did get divorced, it was like, well, of course this was going to happen. It was like everything that I had feared was going to happen had then suddenly come true, which was really upsetting, but I buried it like big time. And of course then what happens is that you go through life like thinking one side is more right than the other, or the other side is more right than the other. And actually what you realize is, firstly, I think when people get divorced, firstly, it's a really brave thing. I think it's like insanely brave, because a lot of people don't, and they stay very unhappy, and they stay in their relationship because they think it's good for the kids, or they think it's good for whatever, or they don't want to feel embarrassed or ashamed or whatever these things that they feel. But actually you kind of get one life, and you've got to live it to the max, and you've got to be careful about who along the way is getting upset. But also, if you're unhappy in a situation, you're going to create a circle of unhappiness around you. And I actually, at the end of the day, would sort of applaud my dad for saying it wasn't going to work out. And now looking back, my mum remarried. She's happier than ever, right? In this amazing relationship with my stepfather, who's incredible. My stepfather has been chairman of my Candy Kittens business. He's one of my biggest mentors in life.
So great.
Like the most amazing guy.
Yeah.
So he has taught me everything I need to know about business. Like literally everything I need to know. So if that divorce had never happened, I would never have met him. He'd never been part of my life. Maybe I never would have started a business. Maybe I wouldn't be an entrepreneur. Who knows? And then my dad remarried someone called Katia, who is the most creative, just the most amazing person. They had a little boy called George, who's my little brother. He's like one of my best friends in the world.
Oh, it's so gorgeous.
And so out of that kind of chaos and out of that upset, the brilliance happens. And my dad and I have the most amazing, he's the best guy in the world.
And what age do you think you started to have this broader, I guess, more adult perspective? Because obviously when you're a kid, like you say, you just want everything to be as it was. But when you get to adulthood, maybe you start seeing people as humans rather than parents. I certainly had that realization. Yeah,
I think it was in my 20s I started to realize it. I think like teens, you're just like floating around, whatever, you're not really thinking about things. And then I think you start to become aware. It's like you eat the apple and you suddenly become aware of stuff. And I suddenly became aware of like feelings and emotions and like consciousness and like being awkward and all these different things. And probably in my 20s, I suddenly was like, oh, hang on a second. Like I started to realize that perhaps I hadn't been as friendly to like maybe my parents or like to my dad in particular, but I was stubborn. So I didn't really admit it. And in my 20s, I did a couple of things that I just wasn't proud of. Like, I spoke ill of my parents in like an article once, or my dad, I spoke badly of him. And he, you know, he sent me a letter, and he wrote me a letter, and he had the article. And you know, imagine that. Imagine your parents only seeing you've done an article about you. And my dad, by the way, he never, ever spoke ill of my mum, ever. He never said anything bad against her, ever. I've never heard him say anything, ever in his entire life. Right? And my mum, not really either, but my mum more is very dominant and, oh God, and, you know, I had to be the single mum and bring you guys, you know, all these sorts of things, which is totally fair because she was hurting. But my dad, he sent me an article, and it was the article I had done, and he had just written on the article, said, "I'm so sorry, I'm such a disappointment."
Wow.
Yeah. I've actually never told anyone that, I don't think. And he wrote that on it, and it was just on the thing, and I just thought, man, you know, that's my dad.
And do you think he wrote it meaning sorry, or he wanted to call you out on it?
I think he wanted to say that he was sorry. My dad's like, he finds it hard to be emotional. He really can't go there for whatever reason. Maybe his childhood, whatever, but he can't go there. But it was him basically probably to say, I'm sorry, but also to say, I think he was hurt. And so it was a bit like, I think it was him saying, you don't know this, you never know the true sides of both sides. You don't know both sides. You don't know the true story. So if you just to say things, it's really hurtful. And I'm sorry that you have that. I represent all these things that you said.
And that catalysed a conversation.
And then we didn't talk. We still didn't talk for ages.
Wow.
And the reason we spoke, Fearne, I'm not kidding. The reason we spoke is Amal Rajan came on my podcast. We were much closer and things like that. But the first time we had a proper conversation is Amal Rajan came on my podcast, and he was dealing with grief. Well, his dad passed away, and he was talking about grief, and he was saying how tough it is. And he turned to me and he said, What would you say if your dad came up to you and said he had 3 weeks to live? And I was like, I got really like taken aback by it because I wasn't expecting him to say that. And I was like, oh my God. And I couldn't get my words out. And I started getting, to the point where you actually get too emotional. I was a bit like, oh my God. I was like, oh God, this is actually not professional anymore. Like I was almost like, oh God.
No, it's a good thing.
It's like drama. And he said, look, okay, hold on. Do you know what you have? You have this gift. It's time. You have this gift of time where you can talk to your dad about things. And I thought that's amazing. And so I just sent my dad a message and just said, you're the greatest dad ever. I know you know that over the recent years, but you really are. You're the best thing ever. And I think that's like a real like thing in life. I think it's really important to try and heal wounds. And there's a German saying which is never leave sand in the machine, which is make sure this machine which is life, make sure you get rid of the sand because it only really hurts the machine, which is you.
Yeah.
So you kind of got to try and clear all that as much as you can.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
It's not fun to be lugging around resentments or regrets or bad feelings towards another person.
Were your parents together?
Fix it. They're still together now, yeah.
Amazing.
They're still together now, which I think has probably informed a lot of my feelings around divorce personally and, how that is affecting my kids. And that's why it was so comforting to read your adult perspective coming from a family that was actually already blended by the time you were born, which, my kids have got older step siblings, which is a beautiful relationship they've got, and I'm so glad of it. But it was very comforting to sort of see, if you fast forward, what
it's okay. It's amazing.
Happen,
and I want to tell you, and I really want to tell you that, like, I promise you.
Yeah.
Because you are, I know like the surface of you. I don't know the deeper you. But I think I'm like, what is like, you got like on the earth, you got the crust and then you got the membrane. I don't know what you got. And it's whatever the layers are. But I think I'm a little bit in, right? Yeah, for sure. You're such a wonderful person. Truly you are. And if as a friend you feel that, I can't imagine what you feel as a son or a daughter.
Yeah, I mean, look, we all try our best, don't we? We have good days, we have bad days. I think the one thing that I stick to is if I am having a ratty morning where I know it's going to be a busy day and I'm rushing on the school run and Rex has left his organizer at home and we're halfway to school or whatever and I'm a bit cross, I will always apologise. So if I mess up, I will always say, do you know what? I'm really sorry that I was ratty in the car. I've got a lot on. And I'll just be really honest with them about why I'm ratty. I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed. I'm racing from place to place. And actually, what I've seen, the return is, if, like, say Rex is that pre-teen age now, he'll get ratty with me and go, oh, don't go away, like, leave me alone, I don't want you to be near me. And he will always apologise by the end of the day, every time. And so I'm not perfect, I mess up constantly, but I think because I'm showing them that you can mess up, but you should always say sorry.
Totally.
Hopefully, I mean, you don't know how your decisions are going to impact your children, but you could just do your best. That's all you can do.
And also, I think parents just constantly think that they're messing their kids up the whole time. You just think you're doing things wrong.
Our generation, the first generation, I think, to really go, oh, we know this stuff. Psychology, you know, authors
that
keep
stuff
telling
isn't
us.
good. Yeah.
Like, that's not, our parents are just like, oh, well, let's hope for the best and crack on with it. I think our generation are driving ourselves mad. We're like overthinking every word we say, everything we do.
Which is almost too far.
Too far. We need to swing back a little bit. The pendulum needs to come back a bit.
It needs to go a bit more central. When I said to my mum that I've written this book, she was like, but why do you just not talk about things like that? And I was like, fair enough.
That's so good.
Yeah.
I question myself a lot. I wonder if you feel like this. I'm writing a book at the moment, and part of me is like, why do I need to do this?
Yeah, why?
There are many reasons. One of them is, and I'm not going to be as, like, I can't class myself as this, like, purely benevolent person that just wants to help others. That's fucking bullshit. Part of me hopes that the storytelling is useful and that other people go,
agreed, yes.
Oh my God, I felt like that. That's got to be a driving force.
100%.
Also, and I wonder if you feel like this purely about the book, you want to set yourself the challenge of, can I do this? Like, can I get these feelings put down on a page? Can I make sense of them?
Completely.
And then a bit of it, I don't fucking know. Why am I doing this?
Yeah, no, you've nailed it.
Why am I doing this?
Yeah, you've nailed it. I think one is like that driving force is like, yeah, hopefully this would help people, which is a really like great feeling that you have.
But it's not 100% of the story.
No. And anyone who says, I have done this because I just...
Fuck off.
Yeah, come on. Let's just be honest. It's not just because of that.
No.
It's not just because of that.
It can't be.
Can't be. The second thing is like challenging yourself is really important. And like, you've got to like... And everyone always says, oh, I take risks. But it's like, do you take risks? Like, do you really take a risk? And writing a book and putting your stuff out there is actually genuinely taking a risk.
So risky. Well, you're shitting yourself. Like, I shit myself every time I release a book.
It's just like...
It's so scary.
Yeah, it's really actually quite scary. And you're right. And the third bit is like, okay, but why then... I don't really know what the other...
Why do we do any of this? Why are we talking about this stuff publicly on microphones? Why are we writing books? Like, I wonder...
Because I think it gives us a purpose. And I think it gives us a reason.
Yeah.
I think in life... my little brother George, who I spoke about, sent me a message this morning, and he was asking for advice, and he said, I'm thinking about what I want to do in life, and it seems like you're doing some really amazing things as my older brother. Can you just give me some advice? Because my mum, my stepmother, said that she wanted to do a lot of things, and she ended up doing nothing, really. And he wants to make sure that he focuses. And I said to him, yeah, that's a really good point, is that if you start to do lots of different things, you probably end up doing nothing. And he said, well, you do a lot of things. And I sort of went, I do. But I think mainly what we do is we like entertaining.
Yeah.
And whether that's entertaining on audio or it's entertaining on visuals or entertaining in a book or connecting, we like entertaining connecting.
Yeah.
And so ways that we can connect or entertain, and if we can do that both, man, that's like the greatest combination.
But how much of that is dependent on the outside validation? Because that's the bit that I have to really weigh up is, like, I posted something on Instagram this morning that I felt like I wanted to say, and I'm not even sure why, but I was like, these are some lessons I've learned this week, and they feel like they've impacted me greatly, and I would like to share them. But then I have to, after I've posted the video, watch that I'm not going, oh, I wonder if blah blah's put a comment there. I wonder what people are saying about this. And I have to stop at, don't look for the validation bit. Or if you're looking, just know that it's almost meaningless. You don't have to have that feedback. Do you consider, because obviously,
man, it's hard.
Even being on Made in Chelsea, you know, and you write about this in the book, the reality of being on a reality show is so different to what we could imagine. Or maybe we've got a loose idea, but for you, it was this heightened sense of insecurity.
Yeah.
hyper focus and awareness on things you didn't even feel were flaws before you were on the TV.
Yeah.
And then also looking for outside validation. It's a huge part of it.
Oh, it's funny. It's everything. So I started Made in Chelsea when I was like 22 years old, and I didn't really it was because when you're young you don't really understand what you're feeling or your emotions. But I was like a confident young kid, but also I was like deeply insecure, like we all are. But you don't really know, you don't notice that you're insecure. And not like all of us are, but I definitely was. And I thought Made in Chelsea, I thought at school I wanted to be popular, right? That's what I wanted to be, because I thought if I was popular, then that gives you like all the credibility and all the validation you need. And so I thought if I joined a television show, then I would be the most popular, right? That's what I thought. So I was like, this is going to be the best. I'm going to become famous. Are you kidding me? That's like the most exciting thing. I'm going to be famous. And the problem is that you then go and do a reality show, which was really exciting. And Made in Chelsea was freaking fun. And whether you like the show or didn't like the show, I mean, firstly, it's a TV show about being posh, which is like the worst idea in the world. It's like
it's the best idea.
It's like, honestly, but I was like, going into it was one of these things where I was like, I thought it was going to cure lots of stuff, all the problems they had. But actually, as you said, it heightened everything. And the moment I had two real big moments of realization. Is I went on the show and it was great fun and we got to travel the world and we got paid to do it with our mates and whatever. And then I think I write about this in the book. I think it was we won a BAFTA and we got up on stage in front of like all these incredible actors and actresses and talented people. And I was like screaming like, yeah, I can't believe it. Yeah, we've just done it. And I got on stage and I was like, oh my God. And that feeling was just amazing. I looked into the audience and I saw like Idris Elba and Benedict Cumberbatch and Olivia Colman and all these incredible people who've trained their entire lives to get where they are. And they were looking back at us just like...
Were they?
100%. You could feel the room. I'm quite aware of that. You could feel the room. And I suddenly, again, like eating the apple, I suddenly went, we're not cool. And I was like, we're not what we think we are. In our little bubble of reality TV, we think we are, but we're not. And suddenly I had this realization. I was like, oh my God, all the things that I thought I was going to get, but actually were slightly being laughed at here. And that was a big moment for me. And also I then secondly realized that I'd taken a shortcut into this amazing industry of entertainment. And I knew then it was going to be this long way round. And we always look for a shortcut in life. And actually it's the worst thing to do. Because as soon as you take a shortcut, you have to take the long road at some point. And so for me, that was a big learning curve, I think.
Yeah, but I there's lots to say about that. I think you're doing yourself a discredit because I think there's room for all of it. I think there's room for like high-end classy drama with the best, Royal Shakespearean actors. And I think there's loads of space for reality shows where we can sit and just go, oh my God, and zone out.
Yeah, but that's for you.
Yeah.
For you, that's great. But for the person on the show, you're thinking, no, I'm an entertainer and I'm this and that. And everyone on the other side of the TV watching it going, that's just a fucking idiot.
I don't think so. I think a lot of people are like, we like the relatability. We like that we can see ourselves in these people.
Sweet.
No, I'm not. I honestly believe it. I think there's room for all of it. I really do.
But before you met me, before you knew me and before things, you probably had a preconception of what I was like, right?
I've always thought you were ace. And do you know one of the reasons is Fearne Cotton, my mum. You've not met my mum yet.
I've not met your mum.
She fucking loves you.
Get out of here.
And let me tell you, Fearne hates everyone. Fearne doesn't like anyone. She'll find a problem with anyone on TV. I don't like her. She fucking loves you. Really? She wants to meet you.
Really?
Yeah.
Fearne, I freaking love you.
I was just already like on board with the whole Jamie Laing thing.
Okay.
Already, before we became friends.
Okay,
and then it just, further confirmed that you are a very decent egg. And not only that, and like you say, you have to do the long road at some point.
Got to do the long road.
But you've done it. And you've put the work in, not only in terms of your credentials in entertainment, but also business-wise. That you can't cheat on that one because the results will be visible and that's a whole
Made in Chelsea like for anyone and I'm sure you're going to interview, I know you'll interview or will interview some like Made in Chelsea people.
I've got Spenny coming on.
You got Spenny coming on. Okay, great. I guarantee this, Spenny will hate talking about it. He'll hate it. He won't want to talk about it.
You've got to own it.
Fucking damn it.
I've got to own Disney Club when I was 15. I can't be like, I didn't do kids'
Fearne,
TV.
that's way cooler.
Of course I did.
That is way cooler.
Is it?
Yes. Yes, it's way cooler.
Like, it is.
Made in Chelsea's a TV
show.
show.
Like this. Bunches. Hi, welcome to the Disney Club. Do you want to watch Rugrats? Oh, literally
Actually
the biggest
terrifying.
nerd ever. Yeah, like awful.
Okay, Main Chelsea is a TV show about being posh. We don't work and live off our parents' money. And what a brilliant idea that is. Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, I'll do that. And then when I finish, I do my first ever like show. We watch it and it goes out live. And I'm like, well, we watch it on the TV. We're like, well, now I'm famous.
We've made it.
You've made it. And I walk outside and like the first comment I get is, get a real job. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? But so
It's so great.
But you got to own it, and
You have to
again,
own
I say the same
it.
thing. Harry Styles, when he won the Grammy, he got up on stage.
Yes,
he
you
had
mentioned 1D.
You mentioned One Direction,
X Factor.
X Factor. Like, own it.
Own it.
And it's like that's my roots.
That's how you got there.
100%.
It's
How
so
cool
important.
is?
Do you know what's so interesting is if we go back to talking about the validation aspect of it, and like you say, you walk out the house like you feel like you've made it, you're hoping that fame's gonna make you popular.
Yeah.
We only want to be popular because we're, I believe, lacking self-compassion, and
Yeah.
we conflate the two. We think popularity means we're gonna like ourselves. And often it can be the greatest distraction from actually doing the work to try and cultivate some self-acceptance, to go, this is who I am, and I'm flawed, and I'm brilliant, and everything in between. Do you think you're at a place now where you like yourself?
Oh, yeah, 100%. Dude, like a million percent. And I think it was probably because when I was younger, you know, big family, middle child, always wanted attention, always wanted love, quite sensitive. Parents get divorced, sent off to boarding school, that kind of like, and poor me, right? Whatever.
No, but boarding school's
harsh. But still, but whatever. That was my, again, there's situations, and I do try and caveat it with this because there are situations which are so much worse. But my experience was like that, right? And it was like a tough experience for me at the time. And at school, I was like, I was quite like almost like a young achiever. Like in sports days, I was always winning, like medals, and like I was captain of the football teams. And so you were quite applauded when I was a young kid.
Yeah.
And because I was like, oh, I quite like that. I score a goal and people cheer. I quite like that. That's quite a good thing. I wasn't good at work, and so so none of that. Like, so it didn't mix. So then when 17 hit, and I then couldn't play sport because I had an injury. That was taken away from me. So all those praises and all that, like, Jamie, well done, come on, Jamie, all those kind of things, that just went silent.
Yeah.
And so I then needed to fill that with something. And I was like, well, where do I get those cheers from? Because I'd almost become addicted to that cheer, which is like a really negative thing to get.
Yeah.
And now that's why with sportsmen, typically sportsmen, right? Like I was chatting to a lioness recently, and she said, when I score a goal, that feeling of scoring a goal, I don't know what I'm going to do afterwards when I can't get that feeling. And I had a small level of it, right? So I went searching for that validation other places. And when Made in Chelsea came, that was like, that's it. I get the praise from there. And it just wasn't the same because it wasn't the same.
No, and I don't think, even if you're like Beyonce on stage, I don't know if that is any more meaningful than someone going, I like you, or Made in Chelsea.
No,
I really
true.
don't. I think unless you can have a bedrock of self-compassion, it doesn't touch the sides. 1,000 people watching you becomes I want 10,000, becomes I want 100,000 people in a stadium, and it's never enough unless you like yourself.
That's it. And now I'm in a place where definitely I really like myself, but I think that comes from my relationship with Sophie, my wife. Like 100.
I love your wife.
Oh man, she adores you. Oh,
I love your wife so much. I've always loved your podcast together, but when I met her, we met at Buckingham Palace, which is the wankiest thing I'll ever say. But I'd never met your wife before, and within 4 seconds, I was like, because you guys I'm in love with her.
You're similar.
I just fucking love her.
You're both like alpha, and you're both opinionated in a good way, and you're both a little bit like cats.
I remember the first time, or maybe the second time we had dinner together.
Yeah.
And I'm not good if I know I'm either done or I've got an early start.
Unbelievable.
I get up and go. You can believe it.
Fun. It's honestly okay. Let me set the scene for your listeners. So we're having like a lovely dinner. Like I'm like one of those people who is like, you know, if someone on the opposite table is struggling with their chair, like I'm just so worried about like people and things like that. We're having this lovely dinner. I think I've had like an espresso martini. I'm just, this is freaking great. Like, I'm like, should we get some shots? Like, it's me, you, Elizabeth Day. We're having a great time. I like have the last bite of like my dessert. I'm like, that was good. And you're like up, and I'm like, huh? And you're like, right, guys, I'm off. And I was like, first in my head, I had so much respect for you. I had so much respect. The fact that you could suddenly just be like, well, I'm done now.
Yeah,
I'm out.
I'm done.
And I was like, I wish I had that confidence and that then just be like, yeah, I'm just out. And Elizabeth and I looked at each other, and Elizabeth went, I wish I had that. I wish I had that.
When I'm done, especially at night, I'm done. I got to get out.
You just got to go.
And it's like...
Yeah, that's such an inner confidence.
Two
Great. My wife has
things can
that.
be true. I love you and Elizabeth, but I also want to be at home.
Yeah, but that great inner confidence.
And I'm going, yeah.
But
back to your wife.
Yeah.
She is fucking great. And
She's
you
best.
can tell throughout this book, there's a specific moment where you're really struggling in lockdown.
Yeah.
And all the work stopped, aka no distractions.
Yeah.
You're left with your thoughts.
Yes, Fearne.
You're sat in it going, oh my God. And Sophie's actually your lifeline in that moment.
Man, she is like, so I think I was always like looking for like that dopamine hit. So at school it was like scoring tries or scoring goals or whatever it was. Then it was Made in Chelsea, that dopamine hit the whole time. And then it was like, that wasn't enough. So it was like dating people or drinking too much. So it's always like chasing this dopamine. And then I met Sophie, and I thought that relationships should be like chaotic. And like if it wasn't filled with drama, then it wasn't exciting. And actually, Sophie and I had that real sort of fire and real passion towards each other, but it was also calm. And that was confusing to me. And in lockdown, we got told something once. Like we got told that by a psychic, right? I mean, whether or not you believe in psychics, but I kind of quite like it.
Yeah, I'm
in. Let's go. I'm in.
Let's go.
I
Yeah.
freaking like it.
Yeah.
I freaking love it. Actually, I freaking love it. And the psychic said that we're twin flames, and I was like, what's that? So I googled these things called twin flames, and basically twin flames like mirror each other. So, and in a relationship, it's not even mirroring each other. Sorry, that's the wrong thing. It's more like the twin flame is where the mirror is put on yourself. So you see your true self. And in relationships in life, we try to mask ourselves the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, that's what we do, right? Because we don't really want to front up to who we truly are, because we then see what our flaws are.
And we have to make changes a lot of the time, and that's boring.
It's boring.
And hard.
I don't want to do that. I just want to continue what I'm doing and not make changes. Sophie made me, good or bad, she made me realize who I actually was. And she made me hold the mirror up to myself and understand who I actually was. And that was quite tough, because it made me realize what I was lacking, what I wasn't good at, the mistakes I made, all these different things. And when lockdown hit and I didn't have the distractions I normally did in life, I had what I can only describe as like real burnout. And it was where I just lost the joy for anything. And I don't think it was depression, because the way someone has described depression to me is just emptiness. And it's almost trying to think about space. They're just like, it's just complete emptiness. And it wasn't that. It was more I just lost complete joy for anything. And going from such an optimistic person, such a lover of life, to not really enjoying things and not really having any joy anywhere, it was really tough. And I had just started my new relationship with Sophie. And we were in lockdown, living together. And that's not fun. Like, you're in lockdown and the person who you just started going out with is being miserable. And she was 24 and she wants to go and have fun and probably see her friends and get drunk and do all the things a 24-year-old wants to do. And I was 30. And I remember saying to her, when you met me, the walls were pink. And at the moment they're dark. But I promise you I'll paint them back pink again. I promise you I will. I promise you, Sophie, I will. And forever, she just stuck by my side, and she kept saying to me, even if you don't think tomorrow is going to be a good day, and I know you don't, just trick yourself. Tomorrow is going to be a good day. Just do that. Think it will be a good day. And she's just been amazing. And the reason why I'm much happier, and the reason I'm much more fulfilled in myself is because of the relationship. Without a doubt. Because I've now worked out who I truly am. I held the mirror up to myself and realized actually what my flaws were. And realize that being still is a good thing. You don't need to be chaotic all the time.
It's hard though, isn't it?
Freaking hard.
I'm not good at it.
No, it's terrible. It's the hardest thing in the world.
I'm really not good.
But
I don't
listen,
know how to do
being
like
still.
chilling out.
Yeah, but I know it's the hard. But sometimes, I mean, I say that, but maybe I'm lying. But being still is important. But also, it comes with ups and downs. Like Sophie and I, we have like tough times, and we can argue, and we can hate each other, and we can be mean to each other, and it's not roses at all. But we have this sort of like really, I hope we have this really amazing bond with each other. And someone told me once that it's the 10,000 hour rule. If you do 10,000 hours at something, you become an expert at it, or supposedly, right? With Sophie, or in your relationship, you got to think, can I spend 10,000 hours, 10,000 dates, 10,000 dinners with this person? If you can, in a good spot, I could spend 100,000 with Sophie. Just because... Man, yeah, and I'm not. She's just the best.
She is so.
She's freaking the best, man. Like,
she's
and she's hot.
Oh my god, she is. Some of her pictures on Instagram
so
are like,
yeah.
She's like AI. She's so dreamy.
And people look at me and they're just like, "How have you done that?" And I don't know. I don't know how I've done that. But she's just like hot. Even when she's like pregnant.
Oh, even hotter.
Like she was pregnant. Well, she hate me saying this, but she's pregnant, and she was like. I think she was trying to like shave. And
impossible.
I caught her like doing it in this like sort of like gremlin pose, and I was just like, "You're
still hot,
still looking hot."
She's can't
amazing.
be unhot. It's an impossibility.
She's amazing.
The other thing I didn't know about you, and it seems Sophie's been a big help, and initially sort of woke you up to the idea of what was going on, was your eating disorder. I didn't know this about you. And what I found really interesting is you don't use the word bulimia at all when describing it. In my eyes, it's bulimia. I had bulimia for 10 years. I was incredibly uncomfortable saying the word, talking about it. The only reason I started publicly talking about it was because of our dear friend Elizabeth Day. And I went on her podcast and I spoke to her before off mic and said, I think I want one of my failures to be based around looking after myself and this thing I used to do. And I found it so hard to say the word bulimia. I felt ashamed, slightly fraudulent saying it, like I'd made it up, although it ruled a lot of my life for like nearly a decade. But knowing and trusting Elizabeth like I do, I thought this is a really good way of me practicing talking about it. And it is a horrible secret illness. You're doing it all in secret. People won't know because you look the same often, especially if you're binging and then purging. You don't really look any different. And, I used to carry gum with me and spray perfume, and I had all the little tricks going on so nobody would find out. So when you break that secrecy and you either tell someone or someone says, were you being sick? It's so unnerving. I now, through a lot of therapy as well, feel really comfortable talking about it. And also I know that so many people out there are living with this secret unhappily. So I do know that talking about it will be helpful. Where are you at with discussing it?
Yeah, so it's a big one, right? Well, let me sort of start. So when I wrote my book, right, Boys Don't Cry, I wanted to make it like chapters, right? So A was for anxiety, B was for best friend, L is for loneliness, S is for Sophie. And so because I'm dyslexic, I wanted to make sure that you could just turn to a chapter and just read it. And it was my experience with what I think is a way to help through it. And I really think that's important in life. And that's why I wrote it for my future kid, because I want my baby to understand that they can talk about things, right? And it came to the chapter W, and but I've never spoken of this, and still as I start to talk about this, I feel like shame, right?
I get it.
It came to the chapter W, and I had promised myself that I'd be honest in the book, and so I thought, right, I'll talk about weight, and so W is for weight, and I don't think men talk about issues that they have with their weight or their body or the way they look or their hairline or all these things. We just don't. And I thought it was important to do it. And so my story with it is I played a lot of sport. I was very sporty, always quite lean, always looking, everyone always used to say, what a six-pack Jamie has, all these things. And I used to eat a lot of food because I was trying to put on weight for rugby, because I was a keen rugby player, a really good rugby player. And when I had my knee injury and my sport was taken away from me, I must have gone into some sort of like anxiety without realizing it. And I got comfort in eating. And it was back when you didn't really have camera phones at all. And so I had like a disposable camera and went on holiday. And I was taking photos. And my mum would say to me, look, you look a bit stocky. Like, you look a bit stocky. Like, you're eating a lot and you look a bit stocky. And it was very from a place of love. Right? I went, oh, whatever. You know, I didn't even think, oh, no, whatever. And I went on holiday, took some photos, got them developed. And I remember going to like a Snappy Snap, which used to be a place to get developed. And I was going through them. And I came across a picture of me topless on the beach. And I looked stocky. I didn't look lean. I didn't look like as six-packy as I usually was. And immediately I just felt shame. And so that day, something clicked in my brain. I must have been 18, 19. And probably because of the anxiety of the sport and all those things, I couldn't play sport anymore, which was like thing taken away from me. When I went on Elizabeth Day, that was my failure, that I couldn't play sport anymore. Yeah. I started to diet, and I'd never done that. I was conscious of what I was eating. So Coca-Cola became Diet Coke, and hummus became reduced fat hummus, and I would eat rice cakes instead of crisps. And I started dieting, and I started to become thinner. And so then I became so conscious of my weight, which I'd never done before. And then that led into, which I didn't even realize, looking back, I didn't even realize, is that I then joined Made in Chelsea, and I went on to Made in Chelsea, and everything was edited for me. I had no control over my life. I didn't know what was going on. I was conscious of the way that I looked and all these things, because people were writing stuff on social media and all this different stuff, that I then had to control something. So it became, in part what I was eating. And, I've spoken to people who have had eating disorders, and I have to, it's hard for me to say, but I had an eating disorder for sure. And I've never said that out loud. And even I went to a therapist, and when I told the therapist what was happening, I had to cover my eyes and say it because I was too embarrassed about it. But there were moments, and in my 20s where I wouldn't keep my food down because it was just a complete control thing. And it was a secret that I had. And I came in and I knew that other people had this, but I thought it was just women. I thought it was something that women suffer, not guys. No way. Are you kidding me? Guys don't suffer with this. Are you kidding me? No way. Not at all. And actually, I found a friend of mine, a guy friend, close to mine, who was being sick into the loo once. And I joked with him about it. I went, oh man, like, are you okay? Don't worry about it. Like, it's okay. And I didn't tell him about my thing, but it made me realize that, other men suffer with this. And when I first started dating Sophie, no one ever knew that I had this occasionally. And I do want to be honest, it was occasionally. It wasn't like a constant thing the whole time. It was just occasionally. Sophie caught me once. And this secret that I had was suddenly not a secret anymore. And suddenly I realized what was going on. And she said to me, what are you doing? And I said, I was doing nothing. And she said, yes, you were, I heard you being sick. And I said, well, I know I wasn't. And she said, it's okay. I just want you to know that whatever you're dealing with, I'm sorry. And if you ever want to talk about it, I'm here. And that suddenly I suddenly clicked onto what was happening. I was like, what the hell is, it was like I was an out of body experience. And then it was suddenly a realistic thing what I was doing. I never spoke to Sophie again about it. And I was then watching the Freddie Flintoff new documentary about it. And Jack Whitehall, who's a friend of mine, actually went on the screen. And he said that he had suffered with an eating disorder throughout. It's so hard. I can't even say, I find it hard to say the word. Yeah. But he suffered with an eating disorder. And I thought, well, maybe I should talk about what I experienced. Because women are amazing how they talk about body positivity. And, one size fits all, and that's just amazing, and it's all great. But with guys, we never talk about it. to be sexy and attractive, we have to go to the gym and do press-ups and have abs and have bleeks and be able to lift 100 kilograms and look that way. And not everyone can do that. And we sort of suffer, in my experience, really in silence because it's so shameful. You don't talk to your guys about it. No freaking ways. Are you kidding me? Not in a million years. I could maybe talk to my mum about it. I could maybe talk to my sister about it. Couldn't talk to guys about it. And it was something that I thought was important to talk about in the book, because if another guy picks it up and turns to that chapter and reads it and reads my experience and then the ways that I think are really good to coping with that situation, I think it could be really important. Yeah. But it's for whatever reason, don't know. I'm happy. I can talk about my anxiety. I can talk about the fact that, I don't know, whatever it is, I can talk about anything. That for me is one thing that I really, because I don't want to be defined by anything like that. I don't want to be defined by anything really, and also it's a very shameful thing for some reason. I find it pretty shameful.
I get it. Look, I felt exactly the same.
Yeah.
That it is incredibly hard to say the words out loud at first. I found it impossible for years. And, I totally understand. And that's, obviously the premise of the book a lot of the time is that men don't have that natural...
Yeah, we don't.
...inclination to talk about things and to discuss things or cry, which is obviously a big topic as well. But I think especially with bulimia, but many eating disorders, but especially bulimia, because of the secrecy, you don't talk to anyone. I didn't tell anyone for years, and my mum was the person that called me out, and I remember every minute of it so clearly, and it was horrible for my mum, and I feel terrible that I put my parents through it. And it's so interesting, you even saying about, I wasn't doing it that regularly. I've always found that bit of it really tricky. Like, what degree does it have to be at to say this is a problem, this is a disorder? Because mine was really extreme at the start. Sometimes I could puke 8 times a day, 9 times a day, 10 times a day. It was non-stop.
Wow.
And then later down the line, I could go a month. I could go 2 months. I could maybe even go 6 months towards the very end of the problem. So I thought, it wasn't really a thing then. It was like a stress, reliever, or if I'd eaten a tiny bit too much or I'd got too drunk, I would always have a little excuse like, it was a one-off, it wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
But it's still an issue. It's still a problem. I don't think that there's like a ladder of like degrees as to, you're now allowed to say that this is an eating disorder or this is a problem. If you find it's a problem in your life, it's a problem.
Yeah, you're completely right. And I think that you do try and find excuses for certain things. And I think, talking from a guy point of view, I think we're the best way at finding excuses for stuff. And guys are very good at playing dumb to their relationships, to their friends, to themselves. Very good at it. It's like, no, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And that time when Sophie said to me, that's when I woke up and I was like, oh my God. And I suddenly was like, what the hell am I actually, why am I even doing this? Like, why am I injuring myself? But yeah, it was a sort of big wake up call. And the real reason that I wanted to talk about it is like, I write about this. There was I went over to my friend's house, right? It was just after lockdown. And it was a group of friends, and I write about them in the book as well. And we sat in a circle. It was my friend Robbo and a few of my friend Julian and all these people, and there were just maybe 4 of us, 5 of us. And we'd come out of lockdown, and I had been feeling this real burnout and real sense of loneliness, which I think a lot of people felt in lockdown, and just lots of different things. And we had dinner together, and we sat on the floor, and we were drinking beers, and we were talking about the usual things that guys talk about. And I just suddenly switched up the conversation. I said, guys, I want to ask a question. Do any of you ever feel lonely? And they all paused for a second. And one by one, it was like an echo back. Yeah, I feel really lonely. I feel really lonely. I feel this, I feel that. My friend said to me, the only person I speak to is my mum on the phone when I come back. And I'm really jealous of my little brother who games and all he does is talk to his friends the whole time, like in innocence. And what I realized is that as soon as you open up that conversation, you get these incredible echoes back of like people who are dealing with similar stuff or suffering with different things. And until you open that door, that conversation doesn't really happen.
Nope.
You know, and so that's why I wanted to do the W chapter. I went on a stag recently for my friend Ollie. He's one of my best friends in the world. And it's a stag. We're in Madrid. We're having the best time ever. And it was incredible and all these different things. We sat on the rooftop having a drink. And I said, right, guys, I want everyone to go around the circle. I want you to say one core memory that you have with Ollie and one reason he's changed your life.
That's so nice.
And, no, I'm not going to do that. And one by one, we all did it. And after the trip, the biggest feedback from everyone was like, that is the best thing. Still dating people, that is the best thing we did. And for some reason, and this is not a negative, and I don't know, I hope it doesn't come across as negative, women are really good at gossiping.
Oh, yeah, we love it.
Man, I hear Sophie on the phone talking to her friends. It's like talking about food, clothes, the weather, books.
Yeah, we need to process verbally.
Anything, details.
Yeah.
Men have a really tricky time because we have to find a subject to talk about. So when you go to the pub, all the guys are thinking as they're going to the pub, okay, I can talk about football, I can talk about business. We have to find a topic.
Yeah.
You can't just gossip.
Yeah.
And so we find it really hard, in my experience, and I'm sure there's lots of guys out there who think differently, but in my experience, as guys, we don't open that door to talk about like loneliness or talk about anxiety or talk about our weight or talk about our fear of failure. And so my book was to open those doors for everyone to have that conversation. And I kind of hope it does. And the reason why I'm really conscious to talk about the W chapter, I keep blabbering on, is I don't want it to be woe me. Like, I'm almost fatigued of talking about
myself. But it's
myself.
so not.
Well, I hope it's not.
It's so not. And
I think I don't want it to be that way.
Look, we can all kind of gaslight ourselves and go, what we can do is put a disclaimer constantly for everything, like, but other people have it worse off, and then you're actually losing the message, which is, I went through this thing. Yeah, you did. Doesn't matter that you were made in Chelsea. Doesn't matter about your upbringing. None of it matters. It's what you've been through and if it connects with other people. And I think the main theme of this book is communication and the fact that men do often struggle with it, and that's why we're seeing lots of terrible statistics that that we all know about. And like you've just said, the most special moment on that stag do was you braving it and saying, let's do something different here, rather than just like taking the piss out of each other. Yes. Let's say something lovely. Equally, when you're talking about weight and discussing eating disorders for the first time, it's communication. Whether it's when you were doing your ultramarathon challenge and people are seeing you actively feeling and being emotional, it's all a level of communication. And that's the beautiful thing. That's why I love podcasting, because it's just that, and it's storytelling, and 100%. It's really important.
And when I did my own, the whole reason I wrote my book, right? The reason I wrote it is I had this sort of idea in my head for a while, but after doing the ultramarathon run, which if anyone who doesn't know, I did 5 ultramarathons in 5 days, all for comic relief, right? It was about 150 odd miles running, and it was like the most insane experience, but like tougher than anything physically I've ever done, and mentally it was really tough. And you kind of have to always, I think in life, you always have to have a North Star, right? Yeah. Like somewhere where you're heading, right? Yeah. Whatever that is. Like it can be, I don't know, whatever it is. And for me, my run, the North Star is that in my 20s, I suffered with crippling anxiety and I never spoke about it. So what I want to do on this run is run for all those people who suffer with some sort of mental health, whether it's depression, anxiety, insomnia, OCD, whatever it may be. And that was my North Star the whole entire time. And what the few things the run made me realize was, but the big thing was, I was running through villages and towns throughout the UK. And and when I started opening up, right? And the reason I started opening up, right? And I don't know why this opened up the floodgates, but on the 3rd day, I was broken and I couldn't really walk. And I had just done 2 ultramarathons, which was like, so it was 100 something kilometers in or whatever it was. And on the 3rd day, I got up and I got on the radio. And I had to do the radio in the morning and I was half dead. And on the radio, this little girl, 12 years old, left me a voice note. And she said to me, Jamie, I want to donate my pocket money to you. This 12-year-old girl, okay? I want to donate my pocket money to you. And she said, if you can get through these ultramarathons, I know I can get through my chemo. And whoever this little angel is, right? This sweet girl, that is like, that my pain is temporary, like hers. I don't know what for her family, whatever it is, and it made me realize that I kind of need to be a bit braver, maybe in life. And I don't know what that, but it made me realize I need to be a bit braver. So I started opening up about actually what I was feeling, rather than saying, we got to get over this stigma of mental health. I said, well, look, I've actually suffered with this, guys. And so when I was running, then the support and the messages and the things that happened and that's why we raised a huge amount of money, because of all those things, which was so incredible. And so I realized that actually, when you start being honest about yourself, that opens up these doors for other people. So the reason I wrote the book is because afterwards I was like, I really want to talk about all the things that I've experienced, and hoping that a boy, a son, a daughter, an aunt, an uncle, a boyfriend, a girlfriend will pick it up or give it to someone and say, look, read this. I know you can't talk about it. I know you probably don't want to talk about it, but read this book. You know, whether you know this guy or don't know this guy, if you read it, it may help you. And we go back to that same thing. You know, one of the reasons I did write the book is because I generally just really kind of want to help people. I think I've lived like a really selfish life. Like, I've been freaking hedonistic and selfish and done what I want to do for so long, and kind of I'm a bit bored of like just focusing on myself for so long. Maybe helping someone else would be a good thing. So, that's kind of the reason.
Well, it's beautiful. And, you know, we all loved watching your struggles through that, but your honesty and your openness, it was a phenomenal thing to see. And I think all the messaging around men showing emotion, feeling it's okay to call a friend and just simply either check in with someone or talk honestly about something. It is really powerful.
Yeah, and also fun. And the big thing is like, I totally, we need to be resilient, like 100%. And maybe the pendulum has gone one way where we're not as resilient as we should be. So yeah, we agree, got to get back. But we still can't deny that like there are awful things happening, and people are taking their lives and just doing things because they're not really talking about it. We went out to an amazing place in Scotland with my Candykins team recently. And we went to this place called, I think, Glendye up in Scotland, it's an amazing place. And part of it is where you go into the wild and you go with ex-veterans, right? And they take you into the wild and they teach you how to start fires. And it was like a real bonding experience. One of the leaders there, one of the guys who set it up, on the day that we had arrived, was in the back of the car, and he got a call from someone who was an ex-vet who was saying he was going to take his life. And he had phoned this guy because he had found the number and he just wanted help, and he had called up this one guy. And this guy managed to save it. They were in the car with my team, and this conversation was going on. It's mad, right? And so as much as we say like, oh, we're talking too much about it and all these different things, this is still happening in the world. Every minute. Because we're still not talking enough about it. Be resilient, 100%. You've got to be resilient. Life is tough. You got to pick yourself up when you get knocked down. And if you don't, come on, let's go, everyone. Let's keep going. But also at the same time, we still got to realize that we can be vulnerable, and being vulnerable is cool. We can talk about things. I still don't think we are talking necessarily, especially with men, enough. Yeah, no, I agree with you. I totally agree. And it's a beautiful motivation for this whole project in this book. And no doubt you will touch many lives doing it without... You don't have to, put a disclaimer in front of that. Like, you will. Honesty breeds honesty. How do you get your kids to talk? It's very hard with Rex. I would say my daughter is really good at coming to me and saying, I'm not happy about this, or this is bumming me out. She's really eloquent and open. With Rex, it is harder. He's on the cusp of teenhood, and that takes a little bit more work. And often I need to be either on my own with him, or it's right before he goes to sleep that he might want to have a chat. But I do think it's harder, and it's hard to know whether that is just simply because he's a boy and that's, hormone based and where he's at, or if it is culturally and systemically where we're at with young boys is that they're not being encouraged in the world, at school, in their friendship circles to show vulnerability. I think it's about that. That's tricky. Interesting that he does it before bed. Yeah, I think a lot of kids end up doing that. Yeah, because it's a safe space where you can then say it and then you can escape to the dream world. Yeah. So it doesn't feel almost real. Yeah. You can just say it, okay, that's that. By the way, night. And it's an interesting age because 12, 13, you're kind of, I want to be independent. I want to do my own thing. But then at bedtime, it's like, oh, but I'm still a kid and I need my mum or my dad or my carer. Like, you have that. Yeah. That vulnerability before you go to sleep, and it's going to be dark and you're on your own, and it's an interesting one, but it's definitely harder. But it's hard. Look, it's hard. And I just think I just think I kind of hope that someone will pick up the book and they'll go, God, even if this is kind of helped me or it's helped my son or whatever. That for me is in case sweet. At least that's you will. I do.
You will.
I really hope so. And look, I really appreciate you talking about the W chapter, because I find that still really.
Well, do you know what? We can chat about that off mic whenever, because I went through years of...
Amazing that you talk about it.
Yeah, now I feel absolute comfort, which does show that things can constantly change, because I couldn't say the word. I couldn't say it. Even to friends, I couldn't say the word. And now I feel completely at peace. I don't feel any shame about it. I had a relapse about 5 years ago once.
Wow.
And I felt a bit of shame, and then I kind of got over it. Honestly, like, we can chat about that.
Yeah.
And I mean that.
I really appreciate that. Yeah. No, thank you.
I'd love to finish by asking you, where is your happy place, Jamie Laing?
Oh well, I actually did this thing once where it was like you had to like tap and you had to go to your happy place. And for me, weirdly enough, my happy place in my mind is holding a rugby ball on my sports field at school with my friends. And it's like a summer evening, and the sun is slightly setting, and it's like that smell in the air. It's like, you know, that sort of countryside smell.
I love that.
And no kind of worries and no kind of responsibilities. That for me in my mind is like my happy place when I think about things. But now in life, I feel quite fortunate. I feel very happy in like work and doing that, but being with Sophie.
Yeah.
Man, she's a complete rock star.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people, because of our social, think that she like it doesn't, like, she takes the piss and stuff like that, and she does, and we have this funny banter with each other. But man, she's a rock.
Yeah.
And I would back her to the end, and she'd back me to the end. And so being together, yeah, that's probably the happy place.
It's heaven. Well, look, I wish you all the love and luck.
Thank you, Fearne.
Baby.
Thank you so much.
I'm so excited for you. I don't know what to do. And good luck with the book, your other
really
baby.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
And thank you for being on Happy Place.
Mwah. Adore you.
Adore you.